Except for to welcome back to another video. And as you can see today, we're having some coffee, and this is a special one, as I will be, doing a Q&A with my favorite person, just to talk about, 30 questions in 30 minutes. So let's go.
Question number one. So, what's the best programming language to start with in 2026?
That's actually a good question. I think the most important thing that people need to know, or anyone who wants to get into the tech industry, is to have the fundamental to understand how a computer works. And I know a lot of people are gonna bash me for this, but I'm just gonna keep it short and sweet. I think the best language to start with is C or C++. However, if you want to get into the industry and you just want to get a job, for your Python and your JavaScript and your TypeScript could be a very good one, as they have a very short learning curve compared to the other ones. So, yeah, I hope I did good.
Okay, so how did you personally get started in tech?
Hey, this is interesting. So, man, I've done this story a couple of times, but initially I don't want to get into tech. I wanted to be an accountant, but I just had a default love for tech, and because I had a default love for tech, tech found me instead of me finding tech. So, yeah, like my path was not as a simple one, because I had to drop out, and I had to fight with a couple of people to chase what wanted me. So yeah, I think I did justice on that one. So yeah, moving on to the next one.
Question number three. If you were learning code today, what would you do differently?
So if I was to learn code today, and what would I be doing differently? I think understanding first how the computer works, learning how to do documentation, practicing solid principles, learning how to write clean code, learning how to think like a programmer and also think like a solutions architect. Having that critical thinking versus system thinking, that's something that I would do differently. Because I'm learning these things now in my fourth or fifth year in the industry, and I feel like I'm not where I'm supposed to be. But nonetheless, I'm happy with the progress that I've made so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question number four. Do you think bootcamps are still worth it?
Hey, so I'm a child of a bootcamp, but bootcamps, they are still worth it, but to a certain extent. I think it's fundamentally important to have papers. As much as I've dropped out a couple of times, I think it's very important to have, papers. Because papers are proof that you can actually complete something. You can get to the end of it. You can start it and finish it.
Mm.
So bootcamps work, and they are still go to. But I think once you have established yourself, you can then go and further your studies by doing like the proper stuff. You don't have to get a CS degree. You can get a degree in something else because you probably already know computer science since you're already working with it.
Which that leads to my next question.
Jeez.
Is it realistic to get into tech without a CX degree?
It is 90-10. So the reason why I'm saying 90-10, if you're doing it by yourself, it's 90-10. But if the boot camp is putting you into the system or in the industry, it's much more easier actually, because they already have some sort of partnership with the company that you're going to be working at. And I think that is very important because that's how I also got into the company that I'm currently working for now. Is that it was already predefined for me that this is the companies that we are sponsoring us, and this is where you'll be able to go and work. So by default, I just knew where I was going. So yes and no. You still need a CS degree if you're gonna go in alone, because it's not as easy as how some of us got in. For someone else, it's gonna be way difficult, maybe 10 times harder than it was for us back then.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to feel confident in coding?
I still don't feel confident in coding. I still don't. I don't think you ever feel confident because there's always someone who's better than you that you're gonna interact with at some point.
Yeah.
So because you get to interact with people that are smarter than you tend to have imposter syndrome. But I have confidence in myself that I have the ability and I'm capable of learning quicker. And I think that is like my booster, my day to day backbone booster. Otherwise, I'm still not as confident. Like, I'm not confident about the code that I wrote yesterday. So, yeah.
All right. So what's a realistic timeline to get my first tech job?
Hey, that's hard, man. Like, with today's economy, it's not as simple. Um, Realistic one, it's 6 to a year, 6 months to a year. Being you having to be consistent in doing interviews, you having to be the first one to approach individuals when you go to your tech events, because networking, as I've mentioned before, is quite important. So I think when you have done a lot of networking, you have some slight of advantage in you doing that.
And then question number 8, what advice would you give to someone who feels too late to start?
It's never too late to start. I think this is not something that I'm hearing for the first time. It's never too late to start. When you have to look at a normal lifespan of a person, it's about 70 years if you're lucky. So if you're far from 70, you're in your 50s, it's going to be harder for you in your 50s, because I think once you reach 50, it's late, right? But if you still below 50, it's still safe. It's never too late, because there's always something to learn every day. As long as you have the mindset of learning, then you should be good to go.
Yeah. Question number 9, how do I know if tech is really the right path for me?
I don't know. That's my honest answer. I don't know. But if it feels right and it's challenging, takes you out of your comfort zone, and you see yourself being, that person that is able to surpass every challenge that will be thrown to you, then yeah, I think it'll be a sign.
And question number 10 is, what's the difference between front end, back end, and full stack?
Um, so the difference is back end is everything that happens on the back end, and front end is everything that happens on the front end. Full stack is everything. I don't know if I explained it properly.
Okay,
So, example,
I
think
understand you.
about it in a way that, okay, if you're going to a restaurant, right, you have the people who are the waiters. The waiters are your front end. The people that come to your desk and then they give you the menu and everything, right? That's your front end. Those are the people that
Absolutely.
interact with you. So that is front end. So back end is the chefs. It's the people that are cooking. So the master chefs, the people that are doing all the cooking for you. So that's the back end part. So full stack is someone who runs their own kitchen and also interacts with people. So it's a
Yeah.
person who does everything. Someone who has like a mobile kitchen. So
Mm-hmm.
you interact with your customers and you go cook. That for me is a full stack. So just to sum it up, full stack is an all rounder. They do everything. Front end focuses on front end, and back end completely focuses on back end.
All right. Question number 11.
Do you
What
want to
were
take a
the
break?
most.
Do
Yes.
you want to take a break? You can stop recording actually. So we're good to go. You
Yes.
could have used this one, yeah, but anyway. Anyway,
So, question number 11 is, what were the most helpful resources when you were learning?
um, I think YouTube for me at some point, but I outgrew YouTube, went into tutorials, and then I outgrew tutorials. And right now, what works is practicality on documentation. So going into documentation, reading on how they designed something, how they made it work, and then practicing it. That's my actual resources now. I'm not saying tutorials don't work. I'm not saying YouTube doesn't work. They all work, but eventually they may give you a platform to only scratch the 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 surface
The
level.
surface.
Yeah, but once you go in deeper into it, you then understand why you need to read documentation.
And question number 12 is, how do you stay motivated when you're stuck or overwhelmed?
Coffee.
Coffee.
Yeah, I think besides coffee, I think I went in with the motivation, and I went in with wanting to become something. I went in wanting to be a better version of myself. I went in wanting to be the best at what I do. And I think that's what motivates me. Sometimes I do feel like I'm not good enough and all of that. But the more I remind myself why am I doing this is my day to day motivation.
So, do I still need to learn algorithms and data structures as a beginner?
For sure. That's the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think that should be the most important thing that you do. Like, before you even learn coding or learn how to write the code, understand what an algorithm is, what is a data structure, because then you'll know when and how and why you do have to do an algorithm or have to use a specific data structure. I know that in most cases we learn about the theory part of it, but if you put it into practicality and then you compare, for example, in Java, you compare a hash map to a map to a linked list to an array list, which one performs better? I think that one is quite important. So it's one of those things that I would say they're still important even today because they help you think, they shape how you think and how you solve a problem.
All right. Question number 14, how do you decide what project to build next?
Um. Okay. I failed a couple of times to do this, but look around you. Look at your problems. Look at what you could solve for you, your family, your community, and then come up with a solution from that. Because that's more of a realistic thing to do. Because it's something that's quite relatable to you also. Because I can say, build a banking app, but who's going to be using it? But if you build a coffee ordering app for your local coffee store, that's something that's worth doing because then you have something that's very practical and you get to learn a lot of things while building that project. So I think looking around your surrounding is very important because then you can determine what actually I could build. It needs to be very relatable.
Which then leads to my next question, which is question 15.
Uh-huh.
What beginner projects help you to learn the most?
I think when I look back, um, I didn't have much of a beginner project because of the program that I was in. It was coming from what's this 42.fr. So I was part of the Within Code program. So a lot of projects that you were learning there were not just simple projects, but could be a little bit complex and very hard. So I wouldn't say there's a beginner project that I worked on, but just going back to my previous point, you can start with a simple to-do list, but don't limit yourself to a to-do list. Your target should be ordering coffee. So I would say that as a project beginner project, a to-do list for you to understand the language is important, but you need to think further than a to-do list so that you can use it on your GitHub portfolio at some point. So yeah,
All right. Do you recommend learning through courses, YouTube, or just building?
I think all of them. Just find the one that works for you, because not all of them will work for you, and it's good to it also helps you to discover yourself and pick up your strengths and your weaknesses, and you'll be able to know where and what and why I should do it this way.
Which then leads to the next question, which is, how can I use your channel as part of my daily learning routine?
Hey guys, no. I haven't gotten into doing content that's for tutorials as yet. But eventually it's somewhere in the pipelines. As most of the time I am also learning new stuff, and it actually takes me more time to build something. Maybe it can take me almost a day and I cannot record the whole day. I rather send a recording of I rather redo the whole project and then just record it, knowing that okay, I would have covered the key concepts and my learnings there. So what's going on?
No, it's fine.
What happened?
Nothing. I was just fixing it.
Ah, cameraman. Ah, cameraman. But yeah, I think that's it for that question.
All
Which
right.
question number are we on now?
We're on question number 18.
Okay, cool.
How do I avoid tutorial hell and actually start building my own stuff?
Put a deadline. Put a deadline to everything that you touch. Uh, this is one of the most stupidest but most key things. Talk about your project to everyone, the project that you want to work on, and then make yourself accountable. This is something that I also picked up, like when I was deep, too late into it. That sometimes I hardly do my own projects because I'll just stop in the middle. But as soon as I start putting a target on my back that this is what I'm actually working on, I then become accountable and I have to, keep that promise that actually how far am I with that specific project. Like there's a couple of projects that I've been working on but I haven't finished. But I've told a couple of people. So they keep asking me about them. So I think putting yourself in a state where you can be held accountable is something that you would consider.
All right. Is AI or ML too advanced for beginners, or can I start early?
I'm not a fan. Definitely not a fan. So there isn't much that I can talk about, and I'm not gonna be negative about it. But if AI and machine learning is something that you are intentionally or you wanna learn, then I'll say go for it. You're never a beginner or advanced. You just need to put yourself into it and then just throw yourself in the deep end. And if you have to learn as you go, then that's fine. That can also work for you.
Question number 20. How do
Finally,
you manage your time when learning tech on the side?
how do I manage my time when I'm learning only?
Yeah.
Hey, I hardly manage my time, guys. Yo, that's me being honest. But I do set myself some realistic goals. The nice thing about me is that once I put myself onto something, I'll put like 100% focus on it. I think small wins is important. Like set small targets that are quite achievable. So, like I said, I don't manage time, or time manages me at some point. I just go with the flow. But if you want to go into time management, you're more than welcome to start small. Don't don't start like dedicating maybe 5 hours a day of programming. Just dedicate 20 minutes a day. 20 minutes is not bad, man. Like you can look at code or a tutorial for 20 minutes while you're in the bathroom and while you're buying coffee or whenever. That's just 20 minutes. So I think just start small. That's all I can say.
Question number 21.
Lucky number 21.
What was your first job in tech and how did you get it?
So just backtracking. So my first job was I think it was a software developer intern. I got it via Within Code, like I mentioned, and I was working for a specific bank, which I'm still working for, but it's just a different business unit.
What do recruiters actually look for in beginner portfolios?
Guys, my coffee is finished. Okay, so let me be honest and a little bit blunt, right? Some recruiters don't know much about tech, but some do. Not all of them. So I may not know what they actually want, but all I can say is the CV gets you the interview, but your portfolio actually gets you the job, because you get interviewed by people that actually know code and they know what tech is. So I wouldn't have like a formula for that. So yeah, sorry guys.
Which then leads to the next question: is freelance work a good way to break into tech?
The best way ever. Like, look, freelancing is important,
Yeah.
because even when you are hired and you have a job, you can still freelance and do make that side hustle. So yeah, I think freelancing is great actually.
Question number 24: how much coding do developers really do on the job?
It depends on the project. Sometimes you can write 10,000 lines of code. Sometimes you can just write 5,000 lines. Sometimes you can write maybe 500 lines for that month. So it depends on how big the project is. Sometimes if it's a new project, it'll take more code to actually build it. And then if you're maintaining legacy systems, then it's not a lot.
All right. Do you recommend certifications like AWS, Google, or CompTIA?
Yes, I do recommend certifications, because some companies do consider those. They are advantageous for you to have, even though they may not be using some of those stuff, but it's quite an advantage for you to have.
Question number 26: what tech roles are in highest demand right now?
I want to be biased and say Java, Java developers, but no. I think data scientists, data engineers. Yeah, I think those ones are top. And then comes back end developers. I'm trying to think on top of my head. Um, DevOps. What other one? And then front end. Yeah, I think those are the top four. Data guys, back end developers, DevOps, and then front end developers.
Okay. Question number 27: should I learn one language deeply or
Oh wait,
dabble in a few?
wait. I forgot cybersecurity also.
Okay.
Yeah, cybersecurity. Hey, they almost chowed me on that one. Sorry, what's the question again?
Should I learn one language deeply or dabble in a few?
It depends on what you want to do as an individual. So, if you want to be a consultant, I recommend that you know as much as possible. But if you want to just be a specialist and just do one language, then you can specialize in one language. Like, for example, I specialize in Java. So probably my next job would be a Java developer, and the one after that will be a Java developer. The one after that will be a Java specialist or something like that. That's my specialty. But if you wanna go into consulting, you want to know as much as possible the front end, back end, and a little bit of DevOps, so that you become more valuable.
Question number 28: what's something about the tech industry that surprised you?
That people that have been in the industry know way more than I do. Turns out not all of them, but you could be very disappointed that not everybody knows. Yeah, I think that's one thing that I learned, that a lot of people who are in high role, high positions, they are not that much deep into tech. Not a lot of them that are deep, that are actually nerds. Some of them are just doing it for money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how do you keep growing once you're already in the field?
Um, Side projects. And also, I think one of the most and key important ones is building yourself a roadmap on where you want to be in the next coming 5 to 10 years, because technology is forever evolving, and it's up to you what you do with the information that you receive on a day to day. So, like at some point, I was looking at some system design stuff, even though I'm still a developer. That kind of helps me to understand that actually, when I build a project, I must build with scalability in mind. I have to build with plug and play in mind. So those kind of things are quite important, but you get to learn them as you get more exposed to different concepts, and yeah, and just read articles and documentation. That's what keeps me up to date.
Last question, question number 30. What's one thing you wish someone told you before getting into tech?
Um, that I'm not gonna make that I'm not gonna earn a million in my first 5 years per annum. Yeah, I think that's the one for money. Um, and also, I think something that I would have had like someone to tell me is that I should not compare myself with other people, because that is the biggest problem that I've noticed. We tend to compare ourselves with our peers. We tend to compare ourselves with the people that we work with. And that kind of derails you from actually achieving or becoming the best version of yourself. And because of all of those things, you then realize that you've spent more time comparing instead of working on yourself, becoming a better developer, becoming a better individual, becoming a team player, and have no space for complaining. I know someone will be like, nah man, you allowing yourself for the company to take advantage of you. Yeah, that's true, but also on the other end of things and on the other side of things, you become more valuable as an individual, to a point that you don't become part of the furniture, but you have more deeper understanding of what you're working on, because you don't complain, you don't decline something when someone asks you for help. So I think that's something that I wish someone had told me, to focus on my own business.
And that's it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Catch us next time on
Cheers.
Extracts.
Bye bye. Thank you for tuning in to today's video, guys, and see you on the next one. Probably on the next one, we'll do 30 questions in 30 minutes talking about Java stuff. Cheers, everybody.